I am Jim Collison and live from the Gallup studios here in Omaha, Nebraska, as well as our offices in India. This is Gallup's Call to Coach, recorded on December 12th, 2018. Called to Coach is a resource for those who want to help others discover and use their strengths. We have Gallup experts and independent strengths coaches share tactics, insights, and strategies to help coaches maximize the talent of individuals, teams, and organizations around the world. If you are listening live, you have questions during this webcast, we do have a live chat room available for you right there. It's right below the main video window down there. Just log in, bottom left-hand corner, choose the guest account, put your name in, take the numbers out. So hit log in and you're in there. No need to create an account. You can log in with just about any social media platform that's available there. We'd love to have your questions during the program. If you're listening to the recorded version or have questions about anything, you can send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. Don't forget to visit the Gallup Strengths Center, just gallupstrengthscenter.com for all your CliftonStrengths coaching resources and training needs. You can also catch the video in both streaming and downloadable audio for offline listening. We call that podcasting. It's available for you. All the links and everything you need to get it done is available on our coaches blog. Just head out to coaching.gallup.com. You might want to click on the resources tab when you're there, and you can see all that you need to get that set up. Pooja Luthra is our host today. She works as an advanced consultant. Always difficult for me this late to talk. They're in our offices in India. Pooja, great to see you. Welcome back to another Call to Coach.
It's been a while, and I must say it's been a crazy busy time here at Gallup India, and we've been doing all sorts of fun stuff and launching all sorts of new interesting courses, and in the midst of gearing up for a very busy new year. But I'm glad we got this time out, and our guest for today is YK, who's the founder and CEO of a company called Neo Strategy, which is his own coaching and consulting firm. Well, before that, he has 2 decades of IT consulting experience globally, worked in the US, the UK, Australia, and various roles spanning from sales to innovation lead. I got to know him as part of one of those endeavors when he became a certified Gallup coach. But now he's pursuing his passion to be a full-time coach and consultant around the area of strengths. Of course, his main clients are executives, business owners, and he's currently based out of Hyderabad in India. So YK, a very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for taking time out. How are you today?
Doing great, Pooja. Thank you. Thanks for me.
Yeah. So again, like we'll start, when I got to know you, you were part of the class that was getting certified to be a Gallup coach. And from that day onwards, just would like to know, I know we haven't had a chance to catch up since then. So tell me a little bit about your journey since then around the area of strengths, what prompted, of course, a big change from corporate to own practice. How has that been like? So tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. So I think it was around 2.5 years back, right? We had the training, I think, 2.5 years back. So like any other training, right? I had just attended and I came back from that training, and then I saw the reports and I put it back into the shelf because I did, do these kind of trainings, so similar to psychometry, some other companies. But something, I don't know what made me to go through this in detail. The detail that strengths, insights, and action report, right? Some reason I started reading multiple times. Okay. Then it gave me some clues, like, there was a certain section, I think I have input, and also I have something around intellection and number 7 or so. So it says that you have a lot of ideas, you should start writing, share your ideas with others. So it mentioned a couple of times. So I was just thinking that why it says specifically that I should write and I have a lot of ideas. So prior to that, I always used to have, think that, I want to write some blog. I want to write. It's been like last 5 years. I never, really could accomplish that. So since it's kept saying that I should do something like that, I think I remember exactly May 1st, 2017. It was a holiday, Labor Day holiday. I was sitting at home. I went to Facebook and I just said, I'm going to do everyday blogging. So people said I must be crazy. What is everyday blogging? I never blogged. I never written a single paragraph in my life. but just purely putting all the confidence on what Gallup was saying in that report. So I said, let me see what it says. It kept saying that it is my talent to share my ideas and thoughts. So do you want to know how many I have written till now? How many blogs I would have written? Can you guess?
Absolutely. Go ahead, tell me.
Okay, so I have written close to 200 blogs.
Ah, which is pretty much one every day.
Yes, almost. Yeah, almost. Yeah, I would say alternate days I have written. So the thing is, it all started with that one or two lines in that report. It says that you have something you should start sharing with others, and it specifically says something like this. You have a there is no point in accumulating so much of this knowledge. You should share. That was the that was the line that really kicked me in. So fast forward, right? The exact blogging, the exact thing that the ideas that I've shared made me to transition from where I was to where I am today. Okay, so all the credit I will give it to the Gallup insights it gave me. So my journey started like that, right? I started writing, sharing all my ideas in the form of blogs. People started recognizing some of the good ideas and insights that I am bringing. I didn't had the idea of quitting my job and starting my own consulting at that time, but then slowly, day by day, people approached me and started perceiving me as a different person all of a sudden. So I was exactly the same person. I was just doing this blogging. So I said there is some power in this report, okay, that is seem to be working out. Then I went and started exploring one by one. So I have, just to give you everybody's clarity, right? I have input, restorative, ideation, strategic, and futuristic. These are my top five. So I went and explored. The next one is ideation. So I went and I basically started working in my corporate job, specifically focusing on my ideation, which is like innovation area. That also worked to some extent very well. So all put together, what I realized is that really, if these all are my strengths, why don't I really base my career based on my strengths? That was the origin that basically created confidence and clarity, saying, okay, whatever it may be, I don't care whether I need to work in a corporate or my own business or somewhere else, but it has to be aligned to my strengths. So I basically gone through all my top 10 strengths probably 50 times. Okay, line by line, talent by talent, I basically dissected, analyzed, and mapped to career which I will suit. I didn't say, okay, I want to quit my job, so let me figure it out. It's the other way around. I built this whole thing that whatever I'm doing based on my strengths. That's the biggest help I really got from Gallup. Okay, every day I'm waking up and looking forward to help my clients. So I think that's the highest testimonial I can give you from my side, the kind of benefit I got from Gallup.
Absolutely. And I really count on testimonials such as those, because whatever you've experienced for yourself is firsthand. But for
Yes.
impact on somebody else is something you can sort of guess or you can make out whether, but for yourself, it's firsthand, it's coming from you, and we can see it on your expression that it's really worked in your
Yeah.
favor.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about your journey as a coach. Of course, the one is, of course, the career path. You're saying it's pretty well aligned to what you enjoy doing. And if you remember, even during the course, we had done some sort of analysis on what is it that you do best and what is it that you enjoy doing and all of that. So tell me a little bit about the coaching itself. So
Yes.
when you started the idea of coaching, what is it based on? Is it based on strengths? It is based on an amalgamation of other things? What is it based on?
Sure. So it all started, I think, around 5 years back. I got trained under the ICF training, one of the training, Ericsson training. I'm also an NLP certified coach. I'm not coach. I'm an NLP Masters Business Certified. So I tried parts of that coaching in as a pilot to my friends and colleagues. Okay, it was 5 years back. But then when I started really with Gallup, what it gave me is the lot more clarity to solve a lot of problems. Okay, so I have a lot more equipped. I have got equipped with a lot of tools that basically made me to take this decision. So earlier there were other things are there already, but this gave me the highest amount of clarity and confidence. Okay, that this is really going to work, and this is a tool that everybody needs, executives, business owners. Because of my problem solving as my strength, not only just empowering their strengths, but I'm also solving some of the complex problems for individual careers or businesses. So I can talk about some of those case studies, very interesting ones. I'm able to apply, I think I'm applying my ideation to apply the strengths in multiple areas in a very, very disruptive way.
I think that's a great insight, and it always intrigues me because everybody who gets certified to be a Gallup coach goes through the similar training, the similar curriculum. Everything is pretty similar, but what happens is just like yourself, everybody lends their own style to how they use it. So the
Yes.
application really differs. So, for example, you found your niche where coaching and consulting go hand in hand. Others have found it exclusively in coaching, and so on and so forth. So I'm very interested because a lot of times we use and people use the word coaching and consulting almost interchangeably, and we know that's not the case. So tell me something, how have you
No.
been able to sort of amalgamate the
Yeah.
two?
Yeah. So in parallel to the Gallup journey, right? I always, so let me tell you one more thing before I get this. So my thoughts, right? I used to get a lot of thoughts before Gallup, before my strengths discovery. I used to think that these all are random thoughts. Okay. I never used to give priority or appreciation or importance to these things. I used to think that I'm somewhat different to the other people. Okay. Because my thoughts, my ideologies used to be different. So after Gallup, I got a clarity that what I'm actually talking about, all those thoughts are nothing but my ideation. So I started giving, priority and focus to my ideation. So then I started really kicking in these, my ideation innovation. So then as part of that, what I came out is that after a lot of observations and thinking, I have come up with the PBA approach. Okay. In today's world, right, whether you're solving a business problem or an individual problem or an executive problem, it is all essentially boils down to people, business, and innovation. So that is what I firmly believe, because innovation is a back of everything that you do. Whatever you do, innovation is back of everything, right? And then business is what we do, and but the core fundamental layer is the people. So I basically felt that if you can integrate the human psychology with the business and innovation, that's where you get the power of it. Right now, okay, I see a lot of things are done in silos. When you talk about business, people say, okay, this is all about processes, Excel sheets, this is all. And when people talk about more of a HR processes, this is all separated as a human resources. And then innovation is taken as something like in something like this is supposed to be done in a laboratory, some technology kind of a thing, right? But I think fundamentally we are all working towards the same thing. Okay, for that to happen, you need to integrate. So my biggest whatever you call, my biggest ideology or philosophy is that how do you integrate these three to get the biggest results? All right. So far I see that there's a lot done in silos. Okay. So that is when I basically brought in this Gallup as a tool, as a fundamental tool, or a strengths as a fundamental tool. This is also another reason why I'm very keen to get to the BP10 also in depth, because my business part of it will give me a lot of help, right? The BP10. So this is how my PBA approach is, what is my fundamental layer, and Gallup strengths is one of the foundation pillar, I would say, for this.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I lost you for a second.
There was just a little, hold on, Pooja. There was just a little set. Roy will fix that in the edit. So I'm going to put it back on you and you can start the next question.
Okay. All right. So, what I like about what you just said, Kishore, is a lot of times when you start looking at the idea of strengths, it's almost as if, one takes the strengths finder and then the feedback and the debrief, etc. It's more like a personality thing. But we know as coaches that that's not all it's meant to be. It's a tool which combines personality with reality. And reality is not just, where I'm working, what I'm doing, but reality is also some of the business challenges that I'm going through, some of the other challenges that I'm going through. So I like the approach in which the whole thing becomes sort of integrated. It's more real to people. So tell me a little bit more about, do you have any specific case studies in mind, any specific examples in mind where you have integrated these approaches together, and that's where the coaching and the consulting sort of come together as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I will give you. So right now I've started an engagement around 4 to 5 months back. I mean, I think 3 months back, honestly. So this was based, it's a business, it's one of the designer boutique based out of Hyderabad. They approached me for help. Initially they came to me saying, they need some personal help, like kind of a life coaching kind of a style. I said, I don't do life coaching like that, but tell me more about what you're looking at. So then they engaged me. I started going through that. First, the way I do it, Pooja, is that first I basically look at the founder. So if I take a business, the core leadership, I coach them on strengths. Okay, I basically enable them on their strengths. That is when you do it, lot of the blockers and all those things gets eliminated. See, even sometimes their bottoms are actually hindering their growth. So this is where, when you look at the holistically, they not only their strengths, their bottoms also, you'll have to kind of manage them. So that itself gave me almost 30 to 40% of a return, where when I basically coach the foundation team, okay, lot of breakthroughs, lot of insights came. Then I went to the business side of it. When you go to the business side of, this is where the trick is, right? People dealing with the people from the business, and they look at the processes and these things, right? But every decision a business is taking is again comes back from the core key decision makers. So if you link back to your business decisions and outcomes, again it is the psychology of the business owner. Okay, so when I go back into the back and forth between the people psychology and the business processes, when I look at the businesses, okay, whether it's a marketing, sales, operations, technology, all these elements, when I take it, but what I see is that 80% of all these things are driven by their strengths and patterns. Okay, so if I spend my time there, automatically these are getting fixed. Okay, just to let you know, in a very shortest time with this approach, we could almost double their sales, and we could improve their operating margin and everything. Okay, we have restructured the team based on their strengths. I mean, not restructured, realigned their responsibilities well into the core strengths. So this is, I felt, I don't know if I would have taken any other traditional consulting approach, I'm not sure whether I would have been able to achieve these kind of results in the shortest duration.
Absolutely, and I couldn't agree more, because a lot of now Gallup, as you know, does so much of research, and we have so many chief scientists, etc. So one of the things that we do work a lot on is the idea of behavioral economics, which is to say that everything does get impacted by who you are and your emotions and what are your thoughts, feelings, motivations, and things like that. So I'm sure the Strengths Finder plays a very important role in at least letting people be aware of how they tend to behave, why they do what they do. So that sort of lends itself. Did you manage to do some amount of team sessions, etc., when you were doing these things with founders and the leadership team of these companies, like a
Yeah,
team blend?
absolutely. Absolutely. And I also have doing currently in another engagement which is related to an education sector, one of the international school. Uh, we are basically working on the productivity, right? Again, the beauty about this is they come with a business challenge, but the way I solve is very creative. Okay, so I would have gone to, again, as I said, some kind of a metrics and all those things. I basically look at their foundation team and as well as the next level team. Okay, so first approach is that take the foundational team and enable their strengths and make sure they are not getting into any of these wrong, negative patterns, and then go to the next level. And then when you combinedly do it, so three things I'm achieving. Okay, one, when I do it holistically, one, the foundation, the leadership team is believing that the strengths culture and the positive psychology and all the culture is working. Second thing is that they are able to really implement it from the top down. Third thing, the so-called culture automatically getting built. Okay, so you don't need to come and do another culture related training or transformation. Once you take this kind of an approach, I'm able to basically bring that kind of a transformation. It's kind of you do using my approach, the PBI approach, I'm able to get multiple ripple effects of benefits. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I do have a question though. Whenever I interact with people, such as yourselves, who are, independent consultants, independent coaches, etc., and you seem to be doing a lot of work with leadership, what's your mantra about convincing them about the benefits of strengths? I mean, we know the idea of strengths. We know leveraging strengths results in higher productivity, better, operating costs and things like that. But sometimes I do find people face a challenge, especially when they're in larger organizations, to say that how do I prove to the leadership team the ROI of investing in the idea of strength. So how do you maneuver around that piece?
Yeah, sure. I think, see, first of all, in my experience, what I have seen is that uh, some set of people, they don't know what the strengths are all about. The other people actually get confused with the strengths, skills, and their role and their experience. They say, I know my strengths. Okay. So I don't typically get into I don't even bring the Gallup or strengths in the upfront. My approach is that I basically try to solve a problem. Okay. So for example, when people come to me, let's say take the three scenarios. I have three target type of a category of clients. One is corporate executives. Second is business owners. And sorry, only these two. Entrepreneurs as third category, but let me combine entrepreneurs and business into one category, right? So even though there is slight difference. So if I'm actually talking to a corporate executive, so typically the challenge is that either career transition or career growth. Okay, so I basically, because of my confidence that I have in my ability to get the results, I don't bring the Gallup upfront. So I basically talk about how can I help them to get the results. Okay, then once I convince them, then I say that, hey, to get to this particular kind of an outcome without knowing yourself, okay, it is extremely difficult, okay, to achieve anything. So I will ask them, do you know what your strengths are? Would you like to know about it? And there is a scientific, that is when I bring the Gallup in a bigger, these things. Then once they basically see that, I'm able to get the results through this thing, through an approach which is more scientific, they're more convinced. If I do it other way around, I say I have a tool, let me help you, then they'll say, no, I have done this kind of a tools earlier. So that's my approach. I don't know whether this works for everyone. So that is why I'm talking about my coaching and consulting. If I would have said only, I don't position myself as I'm just a Gallup certified coach, I help on strengths. No, strengths is one of the major element of my solutioning, but I talk to clients in terms of what is the outcomes they will get.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my approach. So yeah, Pooja.
Yeah. No, I'm smiling and I'm thinking because essentially the tool is what it is. It's the Strengths Finder. We know that. Last week I spent my whole week with strengths coaches who were exclusively doing coaching around the idea of strengths and taking people from the journey of name it, claim it, aim it, and all of that. Today we are talking about how you're integrating the approach with consulting. People have integrated the approach with schools and educations. I'm just always so amazed at the fact that despite the fact that it's one tool, its applications are so many and they are equally powerful in every sector where it is applied. So it's a great place to be in.
So I was talking to Jim before we started this call. So about some non corporate related applications of strength. So I even apply. You'll be surprised. I have even solved some of the relationship issues, not outside, of course, at any of my friends and family level. So it works, right? See, I'll give you a simple example. Somebody who has a context in top five. Okay, so they probably have no idea that why they always go back and fight about some past things. So but the moment you know that there is a certain strength called context, automatically a lot of noise can be. I mean, the application is wide variety. That's what I'm trying to highlight. In fact, I even coach my daughter specifically as a structured sessions, so using this. So I have seen, even when my daughter, just like 2-3 months, there is a dramatic change. Okay, so I used to judge her saying that she is not very competitive, but actually I realized from the reports that she is a competitive. Once I know that she has a competitiveness in the top, competitiveness there in the top five, I started helping her, nurturing that. She started winning some of the prizes. So that's the power of it. You can apply anywhere. You can apply schools, you can apply, I think it's unlimited.
Where do you hope to go from here? So you've got strengths, you've got consulting. Where do you think is the next big application of what you like to do with what you've learned?
Yeah, so one thing, so I write a lot, Pooja, as I said, right, in the blog. So I have one slogan. Okay, this may be like a very bigger mission kind of a thing. Not necessarily that I'm saying I can achieve or I will achieve, but it's the whole philosophy is that this is my formula: strength-based individuals will make a strength-based organization. Strength-based organizations can make strength-based state or a region, and strength-based states can make a strength-based a nation. Okay, so if you see most advanced economically developed countries, right? My research or my insights is that knowingly or unknowingly people are aligned to their strengths. Okay, in India, right, I don't know whether it's cultural or whatever, I'm not sure whether we are aligned so much often to the strengths. I think on a broader perspective, if I take a very broader vision, if people start aligning to their core strengths, I think you can get more economic output, more progress, more personal satisfaction. Okay, so I don't know how much I can take this into the my personal vision or this thing, but this is what I firmly believe, that much of the scope is available. Okay, because there is a lot, I see that there is a lot of productivity leakage. And see, what is an economic development? It starts with an individual thought process, right? When individual thought person aligns to their core strengths, that means his or her productivity is the highest level. That's how you build anything, right? An organization or a country or a state. So I see that as much as possible, I would like to implement this or spread this knowledge and word. Okay, that is one, and a broader context. But in terms of my next step, the BP10, why I'm excited, as I said earlier, right? In India, a lot of entrepreneurship is, this whole startup thing is on a big way, right? But I see that I talk to a lot of existing business owners, as well as the new ideas, the startups. They do fundamentally a lot of mistakes. Okay, the fundamental mistakes where it starts is just picking the right team. Okay, there itself the game gets over, right? If you are not an innovator, if the business needs innovation, so all the 10 skills, if you don't have it, I can actually talk to a business and I can see that they're going to where they're going to heading, right? Because I see that without having those 10 strengths of the BP10, it is extremely difficult to run a sustainable business. So my next focus,
go ahead.
Sure.
Go ahead, please.
My next focus is that, when I'm attending this training, right, in January, I want to start getting into the entrepreneurship related coaching using this BP10, because that's where I see that a lot of applicability. You can apply this to a broader community or individual entrepreneurs. I see that there's huge benefit. That's my next step, Pooja.
Yeah, I was actually just sorry, I've interrupted it. I was just wanting to sort of clarify to everybody. I think you and I have been talking about BP10 for almost 2 or 3 years off and on over messaging, and you've been very excited about when it's getting launched in India. So BP10, just for those who haven't heard of it, is Builder Profile 10. It's an assessment that is meant to give entrepreneurs, not just entrepreneurs. I mean, just to sort of correct that notion, it's about anybody who has that sort of even a role in an organization which is entrepreneurial, just to say that what is it that they lead with? So are they innovators? Are they game changers? What is it that they lead with? So it talks about their style and their motivation when it comes to leading an entrepreneurial role. Whether it's a startup or not. And that is something that we launched in the US, I think about, Jim, it's been what, a year and a half that we've launched it in the US?
Yeah, almost. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's been around Entrepreneur Strengths Finder and then Born to Build, right? As we talk about these builders. Yeah. It's been around for a while now, 3 years.
Yeah. So that's why we're launching it. We're very excited. We're launching it in India in January of 2019. And YK has already sort of, he's registered to join the course already, since he's been very enthusiastic.
2 dates, right? Bangalore and Mumbai?
Bangalore and Bombay. Yeah, so that's 21st and 22nd, I think, in Bangalore, and then 24th and 25th of January in Bombay. So that's what we're talking about. So I think that's a great thing, of course, so again, BP10 would again, I gather would be another assessment. I think my question, YK, was more to do with, let's assume that you do have a consulting engagement with a client and you used either the BP10 or you've used the Strengths Finder, etc. And there is a business problem that remains that you help them navigate through. Is that typically the end of your association with the client, or is this the idea of strength still sort of stay in their minds, or do you have plans in which they can make sure they don't lose track of it and it's always there at the back of their mind?
Okay, good question. So there are two I engage with. So my approach is that, Pooja and Jim, I don't basically end engagements like an end of an engagement. So I have created multiple groups. I have an executive group, I have an leaders group, I have a entrepreneurs group. All my clients, I have 3 kinds of categories of people. First of all, we are all associated. Even though technically the engagement gets over, we are all connected. First point. Okay, so there is always an exchange of. I also host almost a monthly webinars. Okay, so all these my new learnings and insights I keep sharing. So we are, first of all, we are connected. Okay, second thing is, I also have built a lot of tools as part of new strategy. So one of the thing you guys also may want to implement it in a larger context also is that, see, this is the question, right? A lot of people do understand their strengths, including all of us, right? And then we are busy with our lives. Okay, how do we basically make sure we are actually implementing these strengths in a day to day? Okay, so I have used my ideation and restorative. I built a framework. Okay, it is called neo, as part of my neo strategy. It's called neo productivity 4.0. Neo productivity 4.0. I built a simple time management tool. Okay, so if you want, I can show you. I don't know whether I can show it. Let me see if I can show it. Can I show it?
If you use there you go. Let's switch you, but you need to show the screen that's the non-video. There you go.
Okay, let me see if I can show this. Yeah. Okay, can you see here, Pooja and Jim here?
Yes.
See, so this is basically, anyway, I won't go into my new time management model, but if you see here strengths, right? So on an everyday basis, so for example, every Monday I supposed to do, let's say, operations, okay, of my business. So what kind of strengths can I use to basically look at, what kind of strengths can I use to make my operations very strong? Okay, so, or for example, if I'm using marketing, how can I use my ideation into marketing? Okay, so I specifically put this into this thing, because as and when you start using on a daily basis your strengths, after some time it becomes so unconscious, and then it starts working like this. So for example, whenever I get into certain problem, I say that, okay, let me use my problem solving and come up with a solution. But to reach to that level, you need to have that integrated in a process where you're going to see your strengths every day and use them every day. So this is the tool that I use it for almost all of my clients. Okay, this is a very, very powerful. Okay, so I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's what we keep suggesting, even when we're teaching it, that in order to be able to use your strengths, uh, it's important to get help. Now, help could be by way of either partners, or it could be by way of technology. Anything that keeps it upfront in your mind is a good idea. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
Jim, any
yeah,
questions from the chat room?
Okay, there is a button to your left that the green arrow. If you just hit that again, it will flip you back so that we can see you in
okay.
there as well.
So,
Chris Townsend in the chat room has been keeping me occupied as you've been talking with lots of great questions. We often see, and I'm going to paraphrase this question, but we often see coaches that have, and he's interested in your top 5 because you have restorative really high. And he
yeah,
says oftentimes we see coaches that are maximizers, developers. And so his question is to you is how do you use your restorative in what you're doing? How does that play out to your, to the folks that you're coaching, that you're managing, that you're consulting? How are you using your restorative?
yeah, as I said earlier, right? So the restorative is directly gets into my consulting part of the coaching, right? In the sense, so this is where my whole problem solving and improvement. See, restorative also has 2 dimensions, right? One is the problem solving aspect. The second thing is continuously helping them to improve, right? The continuous improvement mindset is also part of the restorative, right? So this is also basically, so when I work with clients, right, I see what are the areas that they could improve using their strengths. That is one area I use. The second is, especially on the business side of the world, I use to solve the problems. Okay, you see what I'm saying? So that is how we use. And by the way, I also have my individualization in my top 10. So that also helps as a very great strength, because each person I'm able to see uniquely and also apply their strengths to their best possible way. So I have this combination of both consulting of strengths as well as the coaching side of the strengths.
I saw in your time management sheet form there that your evenings you have family time from 8:30 to 9:30. Does that realistically work in your schedule? Do you have to find more additional time sometimes? Do you have to kind of break your own rules at times when things in life change?
Yeah, I mean, nothing works perfectly, but then, at least it has that kind of a, what do you call, pattern or some kind of a time slot is there. But the most important thing, Jim, here is that um, the strengths part, right? How it works is that you can even, sometimes, like for example, if you have harmony, right? Consciously knowing that and then applying it makes a wonders. Okay, even I mean, as I said earlier, right? You can apply in all contexts, family time. You can, coaching, consulting, everywhere you can use it. So I'm trying to say is that when you can integrate your strengths into your prime part of the life, that is when you get the highest benefit of strengths. But just knowing it and then getting one-time coaching or one-time awareness, you are losing out a lot of advantage.
Yeah, I see a lot of a lot of the strategic and ideation and what you're putting together there. At what point during the day or in things that you're doing do you find you're most productive? We ask that of our coachees, but I've been asking a lot of coaches recently, like where's your sweet spot? Where do you find yourself most productive? So in that schedule, what do you enjoy the most, or what do you find where you're most productive?
So it's very okay. I have to put this back just to show you. So because see, I don't know whether you saw that. Where is that sheet?
There you go.
1 second. I think, yeah, no, not this one. Where is it? 1 second. So if you see here, right, strategic zone. Okay.
Oh, hold
so
on before you do. Okay, there we go. We're seeing it now. Perfect.
Yeah. So again, you can think of my strategic is merging into my strategic zone. Okay. This is the zone basically where I work on a lot of, because see, mine is a dominant strategic thinking out of the domains wise, right? So I use most, high ROI kind of a, zone is basically this zone in the first half of the day. That is when I basically do the strategic thinking, ideation, problem solving, all those things in that zone. So that's my highest productive thing. So rest is all more of like, operational and that. But then whenever I do coaching, okay, there are days which which are fully planned for coaching days. So those days I'm completely in the zone. So those all are whenever I'm in coaching and consulting, because of my restorative and other things, I'm completely in the high productive. But on a non coaching days, my strategic time is when I am most productive.
I know coaches aren't supposed to say this, but you do a variety of things in your coaching. What do you find? What do you enjoy the most in your coaching? Like when you're doing a certain thing with a person, what part of that do you enjoy the most?
Oh, so I do a lot of deep listening. Okay, I do a lot of deep listening. So there are times my restorative everything is off. I'm basically just like I've used my input. If you see, input is my number one, right? I'm completely in the deep of listening mode. I could see the patterns, the storytelling, the patterns very clearly like a movie, right? That's what I enjoy most. So what they're basically saying, how it is relating, what kind of strength they are talking about, okay, what is the bottom they are trying to avoid, all the things I could see. I'm in input. So just to let you know, I'm in full input. When I'm working with client, I'm absorbing all the information and I'm trying to see what are the patterns, because see, I have my strategic, right? I'm trying to find their patterns, what there. So that basically gives a lot of clarity and what do you call that, a lot of clarity where the client is going, what they're trying to achieve and what is stopping them.
Chris in the chat room says he's a little jealous. By putting your schedule online here, like you're going to get some critiques on your schedule. He says he's a little jealous of your half hour of meditation daily. Do you find that helpful? One, do you get it? Yeah. Do you actually get it? And two, how do you find it helpful?
I do it every day. There is this is something I can say there is no cheating. There is no cheat day except if I'm sick or something. I do it every day. It's like without that, it's difficult for me. I need to get my dopamine up. So I do it. It helps me a lot.
Before the
So
pro-
yeah,
No, go ahead. Keep going.
yeah, I do it, Jim. I think Chris is having that question whether I do it or not, or because I'm doing it every day, he's jealous.
Yeah.
Where is Chris's focus in his top 10? I want to know. The focus should have been only on the talent themes, not on the schedule.
He will. He will. Well, that's not. We really struggle that here in the United States. Everybody strives for that. Like, oh, I need some quiet time or some meditation, do some yoga, whatever. Nobody really does it. Like, it just doesn't work out.
No, but Jim, I have a different view. I think as per statistics, United States, US is the one country where there is a highest amount and more number of people are doing nowadays the mindfulness / meditation / yoga. You can check the statistics.
Really?
I think relatively, yeah, I think so. Relatively more number of people are following nowadays.
Okay. Well, I'm not. So maybe that's an N of one, but I could probably although I'm not wired that way. That doesn't, for me, I find kind of my comfort and my peace in the midst of chaos with people. I really enjoy being kind of in the middle of movement and doing things. And so and I think that plays to the strengths. Like, find that.
You have high activation?
I do. Yeah.
You have
Activator 5. Yeah.
I can see.
I have woo and communication, so I always want to be with people and I always want to be talking. So this job works out really well. When we were in the pre-show, you and I were talking and we were kind of reminiscing, and I was saying, you had asked me how many of these have we done, and we went back and looked on YouTube and it was 28. Actually, I think there's some that are not listed there. So let's just call it 30. And we started doing this late 2014, early 2015. So Pooja, we've been doing this for almost 4 years. Which is crazy, right, to think about it. So YK, I want to ask you, in the 4 years, have you seen strengths in India making changes? Like, we've been talking about this for a long time. Pooja, I'll throw it to you as well, and then we'll kind of bring this in for a landing. But what kind of progress have we made in 4 years? And are you seeing that at a cultural level? So YK, you first, and then Pooja, you.
Okay. So I'll be honest here. So I'm not really, first of all, personally, right? I think I have impacted at least 70 to 100 people. Not that I have coached those many people. I basically, because of the Gallup strengths awareness that I got, I could basically indirectly or directly make them understand about the power of strengths and all those things. But in the broader context, I think, yes, you guys are doing a fantastic change for two reasons, I believe. Okay, one is that I see that I didn't realize that we have so many trainings are happening in India, especially in the large corporations as well as in individual level. Second thing is, again, I go back to my favorite BP10. I think once you bring those kinds of holistic set of all your trainings into India, I think the impact is going to increase further. So to answer your question, yes, I definitely see. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking on this platform today. But I think it is only going to grow. But Pooja is the right person because she is handling with a lot of the corporates, which I don't have visibility. But individual level, whatever the capacity I see, it is increasing. There is an appreciation. And when people are getting these strengths awareness through their corporates, when they're back to the individual thing, I think they are able to see some appreciation. But the only missing thing is that ongoing enrichment and coaching is probably will make it a lot more stronger.
Yeah.
Pooja, how about you? Your opinion on that question?
Yeah, I think things have the landscape's changing, Jim, for sure. And I'll tell you where I'm coming from. It was in, I think, 2014 when we started the certification program here in India as well. And I got to know this just about 2 weeks ago when we were looking at the numbers of the participants and the profile of the participants. When we started off, almost 70% of our participants used to be people who used to be independent coaches and were looking for almost like a certification from a credible organization as a added tool in the way they coached or the way they consulted. That number has flipped, which means that now it's about 70% corporates who are participants and 30% individuals, which tells me that, individuals are who they are, but corporates are taking it up in a big way. Organizations are spending a lot of money, a lot of investment in the idea of strengths, and therefore they feel the need for people to be certified internally. And we have groups and groups of people from one organization who get certified. I mean, I'm not talking about the one that you belong to, because that was a whole new level, but even other organizations where we see people, the numbers going up. So, which tells me that corporate India, the way it views strengths, that has undergone a huge change in the last 4 or 5 years that we've been talking about it. So, and I think that's great news for all of us here. That that's something that intuitively we all knew it worked, but now people do have a merit of saying that yes, it has a merit in higher productivity, higher numbers. People are increasingly talking about the idea of well-being, and linking it to the idea of strengths. That how can we are sure that if people talk about strengths, they have a better overall well-being as well. So I think all of that is making an impact now. Yeah.
Just the fact that just the fact that you mentioned Builder Profile 10 is something we would not have seen 3 years ago in this conversation. We would not have talked about it necessarily. Exciting to hear that you're talking about it, you're thinking about it, and I think our change from entrepreneurial strengths, as we talked about it before, to this idea of builder strengths makes a lot of sense and in a lot more context than I think when we thought about entrepreneurialism. That tends to be startup, where builder tends to be change in organizations, whether that's small or medium or large, how that buildup is changed in there. So do you have any, Pooja, well, let's transition back to you. Let's thank YK for coming in. Any final thoughts that we might have as we close this up?
Absolutely, it's been great, and I'm glad we could finally have you over, YK. I know we've been talking about it. He was absolutely interested in sharing what he's done, and rightfully so. I think you've done some brilliant work, and like I said, that whenever we have guests over, I'm always excited about the possibility of learning something new of how they've applied the idea of strengths. And coaching and consulting for me is the sweet spot. It's what Gallup does. We are all coaches and consultants. It's what Gallup does, and I'm always intrigued when people are able to give their own ideation and their innovation, and they have this whole new package. And it's been great that you could share that with us, and I'm sure people who will listen to this are going to benefit from it too. So thank you so much for making time out, YK.
Thank you. Thanks, Pooja. Thanks, Jim. Thanks a lot for having me.
YK, one more question before you go. If somebody was listening to this and they were thinking about doing something, they get inspired by what you're doing. I'm just inspired by your list there, your planner. I'm like, wow, I'm inspired. I need to all of a sudden. It's always been. I have admitted before that I am I want to be a really good planner. I just can't. I can't do any of it. But if anybody's inspired, what kind of advice would you give them about going into this? Well, how would you, if they're on the fence about it, how would you kind of get them off the fence? What kind of advice would you give them?
I mean, specifically which one, Jim? So can you please repeat?
If somebody was thinking about doing, they're inspired by what you're doing, and they're thinking, hey, I'd kind of like to do this. My career might be heading. The coaching, the consulting. Coaching.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I would say, to start with strengths. So make sure that, whatever you're going to do is actually aligned with strengths. See, sometimes people ask me, Pooja and Jim, see, like this. They'll say, hey, I have to get Gallup certification. I'll say, go for it. But why do you want to do that? So they'll say, I think I should become a coach. But I always tell them that make sure you study and analyze your strengths, and whatever your core inborn talents are, right? Align yourself with that. If you have to be a writer, be a writer. If you have to be a coach, be a coach. Don't do it just because you think that someone is well because they are certified in Gallup. So I think that's the suggestion I would give, because everybody has so much. Okay, one more thing, right? When I see people, you asked me earlier, what do I most enjoy about when I'm coaching? I don't know how many million combinations of people can exist on this planet. I could see those many millions of possibilities when I coach, because everybody is so uniquely gifted and wired differently. I think if you just nurture your own talents, right, I think you will do well. That's what I did.
That's great advice. That's super great advice. I was out doing a Q12 feedback session with a team just the other day, and we were doing some problem solving. And at one point, it was really interesting. They all grabbed their team grade at the same time and began looking as they were trying to problem solve. they went right to strengths to like, okay, all of a sudden, how are we going to uniquely come together? And it was a great moment. It was really fun to see them grab the team grids and start thinking about their own. In some regard, they were looking at their own themes and then starting to think, how do those relate to others? And it was just one of those moments I could kind of sit back and just let that happen. And so appreciate your work and what you do there, and very inspiring. And we're excited to kind of track in the future, and excited because you're taking the BP10 course that's coming up, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, it's a good course. We're glad that we got it in India. If you're listening, like, where are these BP10 courses available and how do I get a list of things that are happening? If you go out to gallup.com/builder, on that site, scroll down, there's our course offerings are available off there, and you can see the couple here in the United States, a couple in India. We're beginning to expand that training out around the world. So by the time you listen to this, we might have other ones scheduled as well, and you can always stay up to date on that. If you're interested in becoming a Gallup Certified Strengths Coach, we mentioned that several times, you can see a complete list of all our courses that lead to that. Coaching.gallup.com. Pooja, anything? I'm sorry. That's at courses.gallup.com. Pooja, anything else you wanted to highlight course-wise, or anything else you want to?
I think course-wise, we have it all out there. The BP10, which is the big news of January, which is next month. Apart from that, it's work as usual. Everything's good.
Is
Happy
it ever
holidays.
work as usual in India? Come on, it's always awesome. There,
It's work as you, and that is the usual, right? I told you I was on a travel trot for the last 4 weeks. So that's how crazy things are here.
Well, hopefully you get a little break. And thanks for all the work that you, Pooja, that you do as well, getting around the globe and making sure everyone's educated. We'll remind everyone.
You are there at 11 p.m., not me.
Well, that's okay.
So
I never
thank you
sleep.
for that.
I never sleep anyway. So there's too much exciting work to do around the world. We'll remind everyone.
Jim,
go ahead.
I have one question. Yeah. So how do you? So I always have seen you on these different podcasts and video things. So you always look same, and you always look energetic. How do you? What strength or what is your secret?
It's a woo communication kind of thing. I love talking to people around the world. I've told the story before. I'll just make it really quick. When I was a kid, I always dreamt of a day when we could do video conferencing around the world. And in the 80s, of course, that wasn't possible. In the 90s, we got closer. But the ability to be able to talk to you, right, to both of you. You're in India, I'm here in the United States. I'd get up any hour of the day to be able to do that. I mean, that's just such a privilege to be able to communicate all this really cool stuff that's going on around the world. And to get that message out, I'm a maximizer, so anything worth doing is worth overdoing. And so it's just one of those things, like, to be able to get the word out it's just, to me, I get super excited about it. So whether it's midnight or, because we're coming up on it, whether it's midnight or it's in the afternoon here in the United States, or I've gotten up early to talk to Europe, I'm just super excited about everything that's going on. So thanks for asking. So I appreciate that. Well,
all your strengths are action.
They are in action.
All your strengths are in action. Activator, communicator, everything is in action.
And arranger, pulling it all together, right? That's kind of number one as arranger. And so for me, thinking about all the things that are going on around the globe, and then how we do them better. We've got some great new things coming through the webcast in 2019. And I'm equally excited about those and all the pieces we got to pull together to kind of make it work. So it's, I will say it's a smaller globe than it was 4 years ago or 5 years ago when we started doing these webcasts. It's just a smaller world. So it's pretty cool to see it all come together. Okay. Well, with that, stop interrupting me. We'll remind everyone to take full advantages of all the resources we have available at the Gallup Strengths Center. Just gallupstrengthscenter.com. Send us your questions or comments. If you have any questions at all, send them to us, coaching@gallup.com. You can catch the recorded audio and video of this program. I mentioned, we've been doing this for 4 years now. They're all available on our coaches blog. So if you go to coaching.gallup.com, there's an easy way to find them there. Or if you like YouTube, you could just head out to the Gallup Strengths Center, just search that, and all that is out there. I mentioned the courses.gallup.com. If you want to stay up to date with all the new things that are coming out through our webcasts, we have a site for that as well, gallup.eventbrite.com. We just loaded season 5 of Theme Thursday. That's out there now. Anytime we do a call to coach, we post it there as well. This event was posted there. You would have known it was going on if you follow us out there on Eventbrite. One more thing, don't forget, if on any social platforms you're on, rate, review, subscribe, all those things that you do, those always help us out. If you leave a comment, that is helpful as well. And if you want to join us on our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/call2coach gets you in there. About 12,000 of us. Pooja, something really cool. We're at 19,999,000.
Oh, God.
We're like, I think we're like 6,000 away as we speak right now from 20 million. And so I think that's going to change over here in the next day or two. And so we're excited about 20 million people have known and discovered their strengths. And we're excited about that as well. We'll be back with more Call to Coach in 2019. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.